So when we talk about things like proportional representation, we really are talking about making sure that every vote counts, that the voices of the whole collective are reflected in our House of Commons. Now, as a person, as I said earlier, who really represents a rural and remote communities, we wanted to make sure that there were opportunities for those voices to be heard and that the process of a proportional system would not lose those. They want to see that local representation and that those voices are heard in the House of Commons. They want it to be fair. And there is room to have those discussions. But sadly, the Liberals ignored that opportunity. And I really feel, and I've heard this every election afterwards, that there is a sense of cynicism, that we're never going to get to a place where those voices are heard and where we actually create a system that is more proportional. Now, the member of Elmwood Transcona did put forward a motion in Proc to discuss the important idea of having a citizens' assembly on electoral reform in the last parliament. It passed, but unfortunately, because of the election call, a completely uncalled for election, in my opinion, the study never happened. And now we have to go back to the writing board. But what I think is so important about having a citizens' assembly on electoral reform is because we need to see citizens engaged. We need to hear those voices, and maybe we need to take it out of the political realm and give the voices to the people across this country. What I think is so important, and what I've heard from constituents across the board, is they want to explore this. They want to make sure their vote counts. They want to be able to vote as they feel, even if that vote won't get them a seat in Parliament. They don't want to feel like that vote is something that they throw away. They also want to make sure that areas are represented fairly. For my riding, like I said earlier, they don't want to feel like the cities of our country are the ones making the decisions. The realities for rural and remote communities can be very different than those of larger cities. That's not to dishonor any one of them, but to make sure that those voices are heard. There are a lot of questions. People want to come together and they want to trust one another, that they can have these frank conversations and education. So I hope that, of course, this government will start to listen to those voices, take into respect that when we have a system that allows people to have a voice, they want to speak out. And when we look at electoral reform and when we look at proportional representation, we know that diversity is engaged with those processes more. And that's something we need to be paying attention, especially as representatives of the House of Common People. When we talk about that, we want to see as much diversity as we possibly can. We want multiple voices so that when decisions are made, they are made in comprehensive ways that take into all of those different point of views and assessments. So we continue to encourage this to happen. I know that we will continue to do the work, and hopefully we'll see a study in Proc that actually gets to what we need to see happen across this country around a citizens' assembly so that the work can start. It's really important. And I know many people in my riding have come forward and presented this idea to me multiple times with a lot of passion and energy. So I'm really happy to discuss this act. I look forward to hearing from other people. But I guess the last thing that I want to mention in my time here to talk about this is really around the idea of having the voting age lowered. We know that the member from Skeena-Balkley Valley has brought forward legislation for us to all look at and discuss around lowering the voting age to 16. I'm very proud to say, Madam Speaker, that in my riding, we are hearing from young people who are supporting this wholeheartedly, who are actively going out and educating people about opening the doors of opportunity for young people to have a voice. We know that when young people vote sooner, when they participate sooner, they vote long term. So I look forward to that, and I'm happy to answer any questions.